Into every generation a work of art is born, a work of art that seems to capture, distill and explicate the spirit of its time more than any other. In this video series, we shall be going back to a TV show that did that for the years around the turn of the millennium, just as the world started to go online and become the world we know today. We are thus going back to the cradle of our contemporary culture, our current mindset, to see how it all began. We are going back to it in order to analyze it, from a philosophical and cultural point of view, and by so doing, gain a better understanding of ourselves. We are going back to a show that revolutionized television, opened new artistic possibilities, impacted culture in many various ways, and laid the ground for a lot of the good things we had on television since. We are going back to a show that is still thrilling, still thought-provoking, still moving, still funny, and still relevant. We are going back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, as Buffy fans know, there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who believe Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the greatest TV show ever made, and those who haven't watched it. Okay, I'm hyperbolizing. But there are ways in which Buffy is the greatest, the model every show should learn from, and many had. This series is aimed at you Buffy fans, those who have watched it many times and think you know all about it. I intend to show you that there are still many uncovered layers that have not been explored. Obviously, I'm going to assume that you watched the entire series, so I'm not going to worry about spoilers. This is not the first time I dive into Buffy. I once made a 3-hour video on my other channel, analyzing the show and singing its praises. It was only after I made it that I learned that I am not the only one holding it in such high regard, and there's robust literature and discussion of it, online and in the academy. Still, I think that there's a lot more to be said. I realized that I didn't go deep enough. The main point I was making back then is that every season deals with certain themes, problems that Buffy needs to overcome in order to grow, and that the big bad of that season represents the culmination of those themes, which she could defeat only after what she learned. But then I realized that it is more complex. Every season is actually divided into a few sections, and every section is a batch of episodes that revolve around similar themes and problems. The resolution of these problems comes at the end of the section, and brings growth in this coming-of-age story. The next section may deal with some of the same themes, but from a different perspective and thus presenting different problems, and so forth, up to the apotheosis in the final episode. What we shall be doing, therefore, is dedicate a video to every episode and deal with the themes it presents. And then, at the end of the section, there will be a video that will discuss it as a whole and show the inner progression. I suggest you don't skip these videos, because the main philosophical points will be made in them. Another thing that happened after I made that video was that the YouTube algorithm, our lord and master, started recommending videos of creators watching Buffy for the first time and reacting to the show. As I watched, I realized that there are some things that today's viewers don't get. Since the show is still rooted in the pre-internet culture, in what I call the rock and roll period, the heroes have a mindset that is different from today's young people. But this is also the transitional phase to this period, what I call the cyber period, and the show marvelously documents this transition. What I want to do here is reconstruct the 90s, give you a feeling of what it was like to experience the show in real time, explain the culture norms and ways of thinking of our heroes, and follow how it gradually transitions into the new period. There's a lot more to be said, but we have over 150 videos to say it in. So, enough of this introduction. Let's break some plates.